Welcome to the Black Entrepreneur Experience podcast, inside the business, buzz, and brilliance of Black entrepreneurs. Here is your host, Dr. Frances Richards.
This is a bonus episode. What happens in Vegas goes all over the world on Black Entrepreneur Experience, episode number 237. Our guests have sent us so much swag, books, and giveaways this year. I can't wait to announce our monthly winner. So if you want exclusive content delivered right to your inbox and to enter into our monthly drawing, go to drfrancesrichards.com and subscribe to our mailing list. That's drfrancesrichards.com. drfrancesrichards.com. That's drfrancesrichards.com and subscribe to our mailing list. We promise we will not spam you or sell your information. Thank you for joining us as we elevate the Black entrepreneur experience by interviewing CEOs, thought leaders, innovative thinkers, and Black entrepreneurs across the globe. I'm your host, Dr. Frances Richards. Do you want to release stress, find balance, improve your performance, and form a deeper connection with your mind, body, and soul? Our next guest is a former ballet dancer, celebrity trainer, who is known as the Mind, Body, Soul Connector and designer of Brace Life Studios. Welcome, Robert Brace.
Hi, thank you for having me. So good to be here.
I've given our audience a very brief bio about you. Robert, why don't you fill in the gaps and share with our audience what you'd like them to know about you and Brace Life Studios?
All right. I am originally from London, England. Came here to New York City as a ballet dancer. I got a scholarship to the Alvin Ailey School. And so I had a dance career. Then I became an ordained minister in Harlem. And the physicality of the dance career and the spirituality from being an ordained minister is what we combine in our studio and in our whole approach to wellness. Because transforming bodies is almost the easy part. We're known for transforming bodies in 28 days. That's what we do here at our beautiful studio in Manhattan. But why people really connect is what I found is people are looking for that extra spiritual aspect, that part of them that connects their mental existence to their physical being there. And when I say things like spiritual, I mean the need for joy, the need for balance, the need for connection, the need to be uplifted and encouraged. And seeing that from the ministry and understanding how to move the body and transform the body physically, especially through my own injuries, is what we've brought together in Brace Life Studios. And so people who are looking for that real mind, body, soul connection, and if they need it, a super fast transformation, that's what they do here at Brace Life Studios. And then we've gone on, and because, the studio experience is more of a high ticket item and we want everybody to be able to experience it. And so we created the Brace Life app where they can get live sessions with me and my whole team. And it's an app that they can get the physicality, the meditations, the spirituality, everything in one place. It's called The Brace Life, and they can get it at thebracelife.com. And for your audience, Dr. Richards, we're giving away 30 days absolutely free so that people can come in, check out the app, find out how we transform bodies, be motivated to get with spiritual messages and messages for mental focus. So that's what we do. I hope that was as succinct as possible. But between the gym and the app, we're trying to get everybody covered on this movement towards mind, body, and soul connection.
Talk about having the studio. You're in New York City and COVID-19. How did you have to pivot?
Oh, that's a great question. Well, the studio with me and my team, and especially one of my right-hand guys, a guy called Salim Rahman, we've been dreaming about having our own studio. We've been sharing spaces with other people. And so July of 2019, we opened a beautiful space here in Lower Manhattan. We had the designer Yetta Banks, who's designed a Viacom building. And we pulled together a lot of our audiences high-powered Black women. So Yetta Banks is this incredible interior designer. So she helped design our space. And we launched in July 2019, and we were pushing all of that year for a big launch in March of 2020. And we'd spent money, we'd hired a marketing team. We were dreaming about this big launch, and specifically it was going to be March 15th, 2020. And right then is when we got shut down. And so there was definitely a moment of depression and what do we do now? We just spent time and money to get to this point, and we were shut down for 6 months. And so for me, to be quite honest, I had to take a step back for a couple of weeks and figure out what was happening. Everybody was jumping online, but we didn't want to do it in the same way that everybody else did. And what we do is very much about the inspirational aspect. And so we stepped back, we created the Brace Life Live on Instagram. And so we had a whole class series on Instagram. But to be clear, when I say class series, yes, it's fitness. But in every single class, we start with a mental focused thought. And at the end of every single class, we end with a spiritual meditation. So you work hard, your serotonin is increased, your endorphins are increased, your serotonin gives you more joy and focus. Your endorphins take the edge of your stress, and you've got more oxygen in your system. So you're primed to hear and take in an uplifting message, right? So we moved that onto Instagram. People came over onto Instagram and joined us for that, which was awesome that the community supported us in such a great way. And then as we saw what was happening, people were connecting online through the chat, and we were actually able to build community through Instagram. We thought, one of my biggest goals and the tricks of the tricky part of having a brand that has mind, body, and spirit, and people are trying to figure out, is it mind? Is it body? What do you do? It was the perfect time to start the app because we'd seen on Instagram that people were responding. The app allows us to give everything, and it's done in a way that it's designed to help you live the daily mind, body, and spirit lifestyle without becoming overwhelmed. So the whole point of the app is to give you a little bit of mental encouragement in the first 20 minutes after you wake up. That's when your body's in alpha phase. It's when it's ready to take in positive messages. And then you can either do one of our 10-minute workouts or our challenging 28-day challenge. And then you've got a spiritual meditation, right? So the app allows us to give everything that we do to everybody on a wider scale. And so that's kind of how it happened. It was very challenging at first. We did not know what we were going to do. And then finally we got let back. The New York City allowed gyms to start to reopen at the end of September. So we're back. We're socially distanced. We've got less capacity just to keep people safe, but people are coming back. People are wanting to get back in. And so, yes, it's definitely been a pivot, but it's working.
Talk about raising capital and funding for the business. How did that work?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked this question. Raising capital as a Black entrepreneur. All right. So first of all, most of it's self-funded, right? Luckily we have a business model whereby, we can charge a lot upfront. And as we build our clientele, we can pull that back into the business, right? But funding, honestly, I didn't really get any kind of bank funding until about 5 years into the business, right? Because people want to see a track record, and a Black fitness business, it's hard. It's just hard for people to take you seriously in some respects. And so a lot of it was self-funded. And then one of the most encouraging things is, I started to get loans, but they were terrible terms, right? There were merchant cash advances, high interest rates. You got to pay it back in a short amount of time. They're taking a draw out of your bank every single day. Stressful. But I used the money correctly. The business started to grow. And at the same time, my wife, she started her own business. She has a behavior analyst business where she helps families with autism, right? And so her business started to grow very slowly. And then I was able to take some money from Brace Life Studios and invest in her business so she could get started, right? And then her business just took off. And as her business took off, she was able to reinvest back into the studio. And so we were able to do what we needed to do here to build the studio. And with both of our businesses growing, right, even during the pandemic, we buckled down and really started to focus on our credit and cleaning up anything that, we'd had to do over the past few years on a shoestring budget to keep it together. That increased. And then we were in a much better place to go to banks and say, look, this is a track record of what we've done. There've been two businesses that have come out of this. And, this is a viable business. So that's when we started to get funding. But even then, it wasn't crazy funding, but it was enough to get us to the next stage. So a lot of duct taping it together. Thankful that I married an entrepreneur so I could invest in her and she could invest back in me. And that's how we've been able to make it work.
Did you guys take advantage of the PPP and the EIDL loans?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. It was there. We needed to do it. And especially, being shut down for 6 months is stressful, but being shut down for 6 months and your landlord still wanting rent for all of those 6 months when you couldn't perform business during a pandemic, when people aren't spending on high ticket items and you have to be socially distanced, it's very stressful. But, short answer is yes, I took advantage of it. My wife took advantage of it. And so that has helped us in some regard. But, most of my trainers are 1099 employees. So it wasn't an exorbitant amount of money that came from the PPP. The EIDL was helpful.
And I understand another round opened up February 1st, and you can do a combination. And so if you got a little bit of money, you can go back for more.
Already put that in. Already put that application in.
Excellent. You talk about mind, body, soul. Talk about what are you most grateful for and why?
Oh, that's a great question. I could go on about that forever. The short answer is my family. It's just a source of strength and encouragement for me. I have two beautiful daughters, call them my chocolate chip Hershey Kisses from heaven. My wife, we have a spiritual connection, we have an entrepreneurial connection, and we have a great friendship. But beyond that, I think it's the people that I have around me. I think everybody, the great thing about being an entrepreneur is you can pick and choose who you decide to have in your orbit. And right now, from the people that we serve, we train everybody, but we have a powerful Black clientele. And then the people in the gym, like I mentioned, Salim, who's actually here doing stuff right now, we met in church and we connected. And so it's just the people, really, the people we serve, the people that I have around me. I think that is the blessing and being able to do what we love and see people encouraged by it. So,
Robert, what was that aha moment that you knew that your business was going to be successful?
I think the aha moment was when I did a project called the 28-Day Challenge. I have a comedian friend who makes all these crazy videos for social media. And I actually met him through church, and he said, look, I'm doing another video and I want to see if it's really possible, like the magazines say, to get 6-pack abs in 30 days, right? And so the backstory is I had a really bad back injury when I was training as a dancer, and it almost took away my career. So I had to heal myself in a very short amount of time because the school that I was at was going to take away my scholarship, and there's no way I could have afforded it. So I had to heal myself in a very short amount of time. And so that summer, I did nothing but stay in the body conditioning studio. I had my meditation, my prayers in the morning, and then I worked on my body all day. So I was able to change my body very quickly. So when he asked me that was my reference. So I hadn't actually done it, but I thought, if I can do that, then I can do this for you. So I said, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it for in 30 days. So we filmed it, and we actually did it in 28 days. So at the time, and actually this year is the 10th year anniversary of that first transformation, right? So I got to celebrate that. But at the time, I was just getting into social media. He posted it, and it was on a different platform. I don't think the platform now exists, but we got 900,000 views, and people wanted to do this 28-day challenge, right? And I had no product, and I had, nothing formalized. But people started calling and emailing and wanting to do this 28-day challenge. And I thought, wow, now we're on to something, right? And then as that developed, we got reached out to by an infomercial company, and they filmed a whole infomercial on the 28-day challenge. But what really got me was the fact that they were interested in the physical transformation, but they were like, this mind stuff that you do, this spiritual aspect that you do, we want to combine that. And that's when I realized, there's not a lot of people in the fitness community who are doing mind, body, soul from the perspective that we are coming at it from, right? From a very intense physical background as a professional dancer and celebrity trainer, the theological background as a minister. Not that we use scripture. Well, we use scripture, but it's more in a way that everybody can relate to, right? So having those two things come together and understanding that people really need this. People need the practical connection between the mind, body, and soul. And that's what we do.
Advice you wish you had followed.
Advice I wish I had followed was to really just stop worrying about what people think. And I know that sounds very simple, but as a dancer, everything you're trained to do is you're in front of the mirror, looking at your form, and only when you've rehearsed it and it's ready to go, do you go on stage and perform, right? And then coming from my parents, and grandparents, I lived with my grandparents for a while, West Africa, appearances and how you present is very, very important, right? And so that was my frame of reference. I think so many people said, look, you have so much to give. Stop worrying so much about how to say it, where to say it, what people think of you. And it's taken me a long time to be like, you know what? Let me just step back, be who I am, because I had a coaching call, and one of my coaches said, listen, you need to put that aside, because what happens when Robert Brace shows up is different things start to happen. People's lives get changed. People's bodies get changed. And so the more you can stay true to your authentic self and not be worried about how you present it or how you come across, the more people will see that genuine nature and connect to it. And so I think, that not worrying so much about the presentation and the form, but more the message, the integrity, and the authenticity of what is of where what I'm saying, what I'm doing comes from, which really is who I am. So,
Robert, what problem exists in the world today that you would like to solve?
whoo, okay. You're going with the easy questions now. What problem exists that I would love to solve? I think it is as simple as getting people to listen, understand, and empathize with each other. Because especially in today's climate where, people believe so strongly in their point of view and are so far away from any kind of reconciliation or understanding. I think if we could just find ways to connect our common humanity and to listen and understand that we're all coming from the same place, I think that I would like to solve. Now, I don't have a solution for it, but I think in every conversation and every interaction, what I am purposeful about is trying to find a common ground, or trying to let people know that, look, at the end of the day, we want to love our family. We want to live with a purpose, and, we want to achieve some of the things in our lives and, have love and security in our lives. So that's something I try to make a practice of whoever I meet, whoever I talk to. I have people in my life who are on the opposite end of the political spectrum, so to speak. And, sometimes I can, in my own mind, think, how in the world could you possibly even think or believe that? But at the same time, I think it's up to me to be able to help them along if I can. Not everybody can be helped along, but where I can, speak to our common ground and speak to our shared humanity.
I want you to take our listeners on a journey.
Mm-hmm.
And you have the opportunity to tell us if this experience is personally in the studio or in the app. And so imagine your ideal client,
Mm-hmm.
is either coming into the studio or logging onto the app. Talk about the experience and take us on that journey.
Okay. So I'm going to do this in two ways. First of all, there's a very product-based experience, right? You're going to come in, you're going to have, we have a lifestyle grid, and in that grid is a section for mind, a section for body, and a section for soul. And what we want to do is, because trying to live a life where you're improving your mental health, your physical health, and your spiritual health can be overwhelming. How do I fit all of these three things in and still be productive? And so that grid is there so that every single day you're just checking off one of those three things, and you get encouragement as you go on. You get inspiring messages. You have journal questions that help you think more about your mind, body, and soul. And it's a lot of fun, right? The energy we bring is about fun, uplifting, leaving you encouraged. So if you come into the app, you're going to go through that journey, right? Your mind is going to be encouraged. Your body is going to be encouraged. Your spirit is going to be encouraged, right? You come into our studio. It's a higher elevated experience, right? Higher end experience, beautiful studio here in Manhattan, designed by a great interior designer. You get encouragement. So the way we train, the way I train my trainers is how I was trained in the ministry. When your congregation comes into that service, right, especially on the midweek service, you want to put your hands on everybody and try to say something encouraging to every single person that comes through that door, right? With the staff here, when somebody comes through that door, you say their name, you encourage them. When they're on the floor doing workouts, even if it's not your client, you tell them what they're doing great and why they're doing it great, so that they're inspired, right? And then we make connections between clients. They work their bodies. And then even our nutrition, we use things like spinach extract, which is designed to give you a spiritual quality, control of your appetite. It's natural control of your cravings. And so they get this 360 experience, as well as meditations that are either to help you focus, to help you connect with your joy, or to help you be inspired. But the one thing, and this is the principle that I try to make everybody understand. When you hear, we've all heard the phrase, your body is your temple. And many people think about your body as your temple as just a physical expression of who you are. But when you think about a temple, and you think about any temple, no matter what religious background you are, the temple is made beautiful, right? And it's made beautiful to represent the spirit that resides within that temple. And also, when you go to a temple, most temples, most religions have a doctrine, the way that they think, the way that they organize their lives, their perspective, right? And so if they built the temple to express the beauty of the spirit inside, when we work on our bodies, yes, it's good to change the body inside, but the spirit inside every single person is valuable. There is so much goodness that can be done in the world through their spirit. There's so much greatness, their talents, their purpose, for their purpose to shine. There is a giving spirit where they can give to others. That is the spirit that resides in the temple of our physical bodies. And the reason we work on our temple is so that the spirit within it can have the life, the strength, the vitality, the energy to be fully explored. And so we can be the most highest versions of ourselves. And in terms of our mind, right, as in a temple, there is a doctrine or a dogma or a way of thinking. The way that we think about our body, the way that we think about how our body informs our spirituality, how our body informs, our thinking, that's what makes our body a temple, right? If you just work on the outer shell of the temple, and there's no worship going on inside, and there's no spiritual upliftment going on inside, there's no perspective going on inside, then you're just working on the shell. We want you to work on your temple so that your spirit, your soul, your energy, your mind can be at its fullest, most highest self. So that's the energy behind everything that we do, whether it's in the gym, whether it's on the app.
Talk about launching the app. And if someone is interested in getting an app, what advice would you give them?
The advice I would give is talk to a lot of people, right? And you're going to have to, we were quoted crazy prices to launch this app. And at one point it was very discouraging because I was like, I have this vision and this is what I want to make happen. And, it's during COVID, my gym is shut down. So I had to go through a lot of different people to find the right partners to build the app. And we found some excellent partners to build the app, to do all of the graphic design for the app. And, I think you look at the resources that you have, first of all, the financial resources, and decide what is going to fit within that budget. And then two, I'm a firm believer that the human resources that you have, the friendships, the connections, the people who've supported you, the people who've heard about you, that they can get you further than just cash or money, right? And so it's calling on those people, calling on their wisdom, their advice, their introductions. And those two things helped us find the right partner in the right budget who was able to bring the vision to fruition. And the truth is, what we got, they exceeded our expectations and what we were asking for. So I think it's just sticking with the vision, taking the discouragement as it comes as a natural part of the process. Do not be surprised when discouragement comes, and don't try and be a hero. Discouragement, everybody faces discouragement. Everybody faces insecurity. Everybody faces, am I doing the right thing? Am I just crazy? Is this, what am I doing here? Right? Like, just embrace that as part of the journey, because it's going to happen, and it's going to happen over and over and over again. So just get comfortable with that and understanding that this too shall pass. And when you're in those moments, what my process is, okay, this discouragement has given me information, right? Either my budget is too low, I don't have the right way of going about this. Let me sit back, process it, and then see what I do have that can help me make the next step forward, right? And that's, has been my process and has helped me get through, the difficult times, as well as prayer. So that's it.
Absolutely. Robert, I want you to have a monologue, and I want you to name the person that you're talking to.
Mm-hmm.
And this person has given you the most profound advice. What would you say to that person?
Wow. So this is a real person.
Absolutely.
Right?
It's a real person. They could be living or they could have passed on, but this is someone that has inspired you, and you're giving a monologue to them. And what are you saying?
Okay, I've got to make a good choice here. I would say to an old preacher who gave me a shot in the ministry, and he said that when you're discouraged, you have to be okay with a reasonable amount of out of control. When your life feels out of control, when your business feels out of control, you've got to be able to be okay with a reasonable piece of out of control. And the reason that resonates with me is because I think in life we like things, or we expect things to be in little boxes where everything is neatly arranged. And we set up these crazy expectations that everything, or somebody else, you look on social media and their life is just perfectly aligned, right? And you're like, what in the world is going on with me, right? And so that helped me because, parts of life are chaotic. And even as I talk about balance and living a mind, body, and soul balance, sometimes, it's like a seesaw. Sometimes launching the app, I was up late, waking up early, and there was a certain amount of chaos, right? Because, my kids for the couple of months that I was doing it, didn't get me as much, right? But they understood. So life sometimes does that, and you've got to be okay with that balance. As an entrepreneur, sometimes it's going awesome, and sometimes, like we've just all been through, there's chaos. What's going to happen in these next 6 months? Where's the money coming from? Can I keep my staff, right? So you've got to be okay with that and be able to thrive in it. And I think for me, one other reason that resonates with me is because when I was a dancer and I used to choreograph, one of my dreams was to be a choreographer at a small dance company for a little while. And the way I would choreograph, I would create loads of movement and it would seem unrelated. And the dancers and the theater director would just think in the beginning it was like a mess, right? But I like that because even though it was chaotic, I knew that sooner or later, one piece is going to connect to another and another piece is going to connect to another. Then I'll have a whole beautiful piece of choreography. So you have a beautiful piece that comes out of this chaos, right? And I think that's how my life has been, right? There's been chaos, but eventually it all comes together and, you create something beautiful, which might be frustrating to people around me who are more detail oriented. but but that's why I need those people around me, because that's how it's chaos. And I know that eventually it's going to come together and we'll have something beautiful. So that for Steve Johnson was one of the guys who brought me into the ministry. That advice sticks.
What is the best decision you have made as a leader?
Okay, I'm loving these questions. The best decision I've made as a leader, I've got a principle, and the principle is once I figure out where I think the best way forward is to stick with that path and continue to educate and inspire people around me, right? Because not everybody is going to see the vision when it first starts. You have to help people see the vision. And just because you say it and you're excited about it and you can see it, doesn't mean it's going to translate. And so you have to get the vision, see the vision, explain the vision over and over and over and over and over again, right? Even through your doubts. So that's the first thing. And the second thing, I think when I was in the ministry, our particular group of churches went through some turmoil and they needed to. There were some organizational things that weren't right. At that time, a lot of ministers left, and I had a congregation in Harlem that I was leading. And the temptation was just to protect myself and protect my family and be out. But I think it was good for me, and it was good ultimately for the congregation, that my wife and I decided to stay and to help the leadership team transition into a place that could deal with the chaos, right? And help people find their footing spiritually. And so for me, sometimes part of that being okay with an acceptable amount of chaos is stepping in when there is chaos and trying to be that person or that voice of reason and calm and stability that can get people from one place to another.
The word is listening.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us that resounding sound and that message that your generation is saying, we want you to listen.
I should have had an extra prayer time and meditation time before coming on this podcast. My goodness, these questions are deep. Okay, so what is our generation saying? I think our generation right now is saying that it is time for deep systemic change. And I think that our generation is saying that the norms that have existed, that we have accepted, or that have seemed acceptable, are no longer acceptable. And that from racism to sexism to any other kind of ism, everybody on this planet deserves the respect of being human, deserves the respect of their individual choices. But at the same time, we are a family and we are a community of human beings. And so I think that the apple cart is clearly being upset for some members of society, and they've had their run. They've had their run, and it's been at the expense of others. And it is time to listen, and it is time to really, when you say listen, really listen and hear and take it in and allow yourself to be affected by it, and affected by it to a point where it causes change. Because we're not going back to the way things were. Even though we've seen in a political climate, people want to go back. What my wife does as a behavioral analyst is when she's helping kids with autism change behavior, as they get to that point where the behavior is about to change, there's this thing called an extinction burst. And that is when you think, oh, okay, the kid is getting to a certain place, but then the kid flips out. It's either violent, it's either verbal, it's either they're not responsive, but they have that big moment and then they ease into, the new change. And I think that's what we're going through. We're having this extinction burst where people are having this reaction. They know the change is coming. They don't like the fact that the change is coming. And they're having this moment. But I do believe that as we continue to push on, that this world, this place, our generation will be in a different place. So
it's almost like birthing pains.
Yep, for sure.
What can we do right now to support Brace Life Studios?
Okay, to support Brace Life Studios right now. The first thing that it's mutual support is go to thebracelife.com. It's an app that you can only get from that page, right? So go to thebracelife.com, join us on this journey and share, yes, the workouts and the physical transformation, but share the movement, share what we're trying to do in making that connection between the mind, body, and soul, right? Because yes, we are a business, but we also, and I mean this in the most sincere way, our mission is to start a movement where people connect. You know, if you move better, serotonin gives you joy, it makes you feel better, gives you spiritual qualities, and it also helps you focus better. So that would be the first thing. And then for the studio, come visit us. Come visit our studio, especially if you're in New York. We have this beautiful space built by Black people, supported by Black people. We have a great community here, and come visit us and be a part of our 28-day challenge, be a part of our meditations, experience it for yourself. And that you can get on bracelifestudios.com, bracelifestudios.com. But for most people, support us on the app, thebracelife.com. Get your 30 days free. Dr. Richard's special, 30 days free. Everybody else is getting 14, but you guys are getting 30. So I don't know what to tell you. I mean, you know, Dr. Richards has got the juice that got you those 30 days. So you better use it real quick. But that's it. That's how they can support us.
What was your biggest win last year?
My biggest win last year. Oh man, again, I could give you a list. On the entrepreneurial end, it's the fact that we are still open. We're still open. We've still got clients. A lot of gyms, I was part of a gym community Facebook thing where gyms were trying to figure this out. And every day there were gyms closing. Every day gyms closing. So we're still here. So that is a big win. And then on a personal note, I didn't know what was going to happen when we were all at home during the pandemic with my family. I thought it was going to be mayhem, but we've actually gotten closer. And so, obviously not been easy, but their closeness with my daughters and with my wife has been a blessing.
Robert, we're going to switch roles. If you conducted this interview, what is the one question you would have asked yourself? I want you to ask the question and answer it.
What is the one question I would have asked myself? Is it worth it? And the question be, with being an entrepreneur, not having funding behind you, not having investors, has the journey been worth it? And I would ask myself that question because, in life, we can complain about a lot. We can, always be comparing, well, I should be here by this time. I should be there by this time. And has it been worth it? I ask that so that I can look at the entirety of the journey. And without question, it has been. And the reasons why, obviously, the way that I've had to grow and have grown as an individual, the lives that me and my team here get to affect, and the people. I mean, we are grateful to be around so many inspirational, iconic people. I mean, we have Lisa Price, founder of Carol's Daughter, Angela Rye, who's a client. We Deborah Lee, who led BET for many years, who's a client, and many, many more. We have the young Michael Rainey Jr., who's an actor in the show Power, who is a client. And so being in an environment where you spend an hour with these people every single day, you get to learn as much from them as they're getting from you. And so from the people to being able to build a studio, it's most definitely been worth it. And because of that, that puts me in a place of gratitude and inspires me to do more. We didn't think we'd be here with this beautiful studio in Manhattan with our app, with just the work of me and, one of the main guys here, like I said, Salim, and a few other people. And we didn't think that would happen. So yeah, it's definitely worth it. And it's definitely worth the fight to keep going. And it's worth the community that we've built because they give us as much as we give them.
Talk about self-care. What does self-care look like for Robert Brace?
Self-care is, I need to be physical. So that's the first thing, because I know I've talked about the mind, body, soul connection, but maybe I haven't explained it as much. But I knew from when I was dancing that I would get a certain feeling. And I thought it was just because I was doing what I love to do. But as I've grown and learned more about the body, as I move, like I said, it produces serotonin, which helps me feel more joy, right? And it's the body's feel good hormone. Endorphins take the edge off of stress, right? So it helps calm you down. So movement and just breathing brings more oxygen to your brain. So it gives you focus. So just by moving your body, and then, it's shown that the more intense exercise, your body produces oxytocin, which is the bonding and love hormone, right? So just by moving, you're getting spiritual qualities of joy, of peace, of more love and connectedness, right? And a more focused brain. And so I need to move to be able to access even more of these spiritual qualities. I've come from a place where, as a minister, you're just doing the mental implementation of spirituality, but your body, God designed this body for you to be able to access these spiritual qualities as well. And so my stand view is, if you're not using your body, you're only accessing so much of the spiritual qualities that are available to you. So for me, my self-care is I need to move. Then I need moments of quiet where I can just sit, think, and just be, right? And it's tough being a father, a husband, and a bit entrepreneur, but having those moments where I just turn off the phone, sit down, either sit in silence, read something, think through my thoughts. That's self-care. And then, being around people you love. I'm definitely blessed to have, a family that I love, and we get on. We love each other and we like each other. And so I get a lot of strength and I get refueled by that as well.
We've come to the part of our interview. It's called Fun Facts Lightning Round. I'm going to ask you a series of questions. I'd like you to give us very quick answers. If there's something you desire not to answer, feel free to say pass. Are you ready for the Fun Facts Lightning Round?
I am 100% ready.
Your first job?
My first job was, I don't think you know what this is in this country. I was in England. They had a milkman who would come to the door with milk early in the morning, right? And he had this I don't even know what you call it. It was almost like a buggy that would drive through the neighborhood and it would be freezing. And so my first job was I was the milkman's assistant, getting up at I was 13 at 5 a.m. to jump on and go on the milk rounds. I made $5 every single Saturday.
Your favorite color?
I used to say blue, but it's not, because I don't own anything blue. It's black. Black is pure, basic, simple.
The last movie you saw?
The last movie I saw was, Tenet. So it was like a sci-fi movie. It was all right.
You relax doing what?
I relax watching intense movies.
Your favorite singer or rapper?
Oh, okay. So James Brown, Godfather of Soul.
Your favorite dance song?
My favorite dance song, the one that comes to mind right now is Lose Control by Missy Elliott, because good to lose control.
What food you eat every week, no matter what?
Egg whites.
Your favorite month?
May, because it's right before it gets really hot in spring, so you can rely on the fact that it's going to be warm every day.
Work out or hit the couch?
Work out.
Robert, thank you so much for spending time with us on Black Entrepreneur Experience Podcast. Before we let you go, why don't you share with our audience the best way for them to connect with you? Tell them how they could win or get their 30 days free at Brace Life Studios, and feel free to give all your social media handles.
Okay, so you want to just connect with me at Robert Brace on Instagram, at Robert Brace, BRACE is the easiest way to do that. For the 30 days free, I'm going to need you to email me at info@thebracelife.com, info@thebracelife.com, and you're going to put in the subject, Dr. Richard's special. That way you will get 30 days of free access to our app. You will get the live workouts, pre-recorded workouts, the meditations, the motivations. So let me say that again, info@thebracelife.com, Dr. Richard special in the subject, and we will hook you up with that 30 days free. And if you want to come into the studio, it's bracelifestudios.com. So the app, thebracelife.com, email, info@thebracelife.com, Dr. Richard's special. And then if you want to come into the studio, bracelifestudios.com.
Thank you. That's a wrap.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Subscribe to our mailing list to receive weekly updates and exclusive content delivered right to your inbox. Go to drfrancisrichards.com. That's drfrancisrichards.com to subscribe to our mailing list and be entered into our monthly drawing. That's drfrancisrichards.com, drfrancisrichards.com to subscribe to our mailing list and be entered into our monthly drawing. We promise we won't spam you or sell your information.
Thank you for listening and subscribing to Black Entrepreneur Experience. We would love for you to leave a review and rating on iTunes and share with your friends. For show notes and more episodes, go to www.beepodcast.com. Join us next Wednesday, and remember, green is the new black. So keep your bank accounts and your business in the black.